Liberty Unfiltered. And here's your host, Steve Long.
Hey folks, this is Steve Long, and you are listening to Liberty Unfiltered here on Vigilant Liberty Radio, and we're also streaming over on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network tonight. So we've got a busy show for you tonight. We've got our Once Upon a Time in America segment. We're going to do a little bit of feeding time, which I'll explain in a minute. We're going to do our Geek Minute, where we go over some geek-worthy news and a few other interesting things. And after the half-hour break, we will be talking to Elizabeth Scott, who is a state legislator in Washington State. So we're going to talk about what's going on there in Washington. Should have a good time. If you're not already on the chat room, you can get on there by going to vigilantlibertyradio.us/chat. There's not too many people in there right now, so feel free to jump in and offer your 2 cents tonight. Alrighty, well, let's just jump into our Once Upon a Time in America. If this is your first time listening, going over some bits of history that happened this week in history in the United States. Not a very busy week, historically speaking, but there are some interesting things that happened. For instance, on December 7th, in 1787, Delaware ratified the U.S. Constitution. It was, of course, the first state to do so. In 1869, on December 7th, Jesse James committed his first bank robbery in, it was Missouri. 1941, the day that will live in infamy, the Japanese Navy attacks the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. And in 1999, Napster is sued by the Recording Industry Association of America for copyright infringement. Very exciting. What happened? What's next? December 8th, 1941, after Pearl Harbor is attacked by the Japanese, U.S. declares war on Japan. And in 1980, on December 8th, John Lennon is murdered in New York City by Mark David Chapman. On December 10th, I'm skipping ahead. December 9th, 1965, a Charlie Brown Christmas airs for the very first time on CBS. December 10th, in 1817, Mississippi becomes the 20th state. December 11th, in 1816, Indiana becomes the 19th state. December 12th, 1787, Pennsylvania ratifies the U.S. Constitution, and it is the second state to do so. And on December 12th of 2000, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled in its Bush versus Gore decision, which gave George W. Bush the presidency, and the vote came to 5-4, if that's of any interest to you. December 13th, I really didn't find anything that was all that interesting that happened in history. So, too bad for it. And next, we're going to move along here, and kind of not a very long segment for this one, is we're moving on to feeding time. And if this is your first time listening or weren't paying attention last time, essentially what this is I've got this news feed, as I'm sure a lot of you do, and what I do is I scour it, of course, every day during the week, and If I notice anything, any kind of headline that perks my interest, I email it to myself and read it, and then I whittle it down to the ones that I'll be reading on air. And I really didn't find a whole lot this week, so sadly, not much feeding time today. The first one, a man in New Jersey was convicted of murdering his wife with a frying pan. Apparently, the couple had an argument over finances. Wow. So he's going to be sentenced on January 29th. A 17-year-old in Maryland was charged with administering a dangerous substance, reckless endangerment, and assault. And what did he do? He gave his teacher part of a pot brownie he was eating. The reports say he was eating the brownie and the teacher asked him for a piece, so he obliged. And she ended up going to the nurse's office, and he got arrested and charged with all that fun stuff. I don't really necessarily understand the assault charge. That one seems a bit of a stretch. All the charges are kind of ridiculous, but yeah, whatever. Another story of a recent arrest from that side of the country happened in Pennsylvania. A man was arrested for driving under the influence because he was bar hopping ... in a golf cart. Apparently he was using the golf cart to drive from bar to bar to imbibe in his alcoholic ventures. As far as I know from the last time I read any update on this, he still has not been charged because they're waiting for the blood alcohol results from the hospital. Okay. And here's some news from abroad. A McDonald's in Switzerland accidentally showed porn to its customers. The restaurant was playing a German sports channel called Sport 1 one night when it happened to be airing a show called Sexy Sports Clips, which I guess the nature of that show is slightly pornographic in nature. A representative of the restaurant told reporters that employees are required to only have the television set to sports channels. So they didn't do anything wrong, but they got kind of caught in the unfortunate incident of playing a pornographic TV show on a sports channel. Who would have thought? All right, I think we're all done with that. That's all the feeding time news I have for you. Really kind of bulked up for our Geek Minute segment. Now, again, listening for the first time, it's called Geek Minute because that was the best title I could think of. It actually doesn't last a minute. It's going to be a lot longer. At least tonight it will be. Anyway, so I just kind of go over some geek-worthy news, but it's kind of the same news feed type thing, but it's more related toward the entertainment, geek, comic, movies, that sort of thing, that industry. Well, the first one I've got is a pilot episode of Preacher has been ordered by AMC. It's the channel that has Walking Dead on it. A TV show based on the Garth Ennis comic book series is being developed by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and Sam Catlin. They are hoping that it will debut in 2016. For anybody that doesn't know what Preacher is, it is a comic book that ran from 1995 to 2000 on DC's Vertigo label. And it's a story of a former preacher, hence the title, named Jesse Custer, that is possessed by, I I guess it's a supernatural creature, I guess you could call it, called Genesis. Anyways, he's possessed by this thing, and in the series, Custer roams the country, literally trying to find God. It's a pretty interesting book, and Garth Ennis did a good job on that. So it'll be interesting to see a TV show based on that. Got to wait till 2016, though. The title of the 24th James Bond film has been announced. 24 movies. Good God. Anyway, MGM Studios and Sony Pictures announced that it will be called Spectre. And that, of course, is referring to a terrorist group that actually originally showed up in the 1961 novel Thunderball, but didn't show up in film until 1962 with Dr. No. Next one. Title character in Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange movie was announced by Marvel.com. It will be Benedict Cumberbatch, who has played Sherlock Holmes, played Khan in Star Trek, Into the Darkness. He has played Julian Assange, which is the WikiLeaks guy. Anyway, so he will be playing Stephen Strange in the film, which is scheduled to be released in November 2016. But there are rumors that he will be featured in a cameo as the Sorcerer Supreme in Avengers Age of Ultron, which comes out next year. So I'd be interested to know if that's actually going to happen. I guess we'll find out when it comes out next month or next year. Other comic book character, movie, TV shows, whatever you want to call it, media. Yeah, let's go with media. Characters that have been announced as far as starring characters. Mike Coulter is going to be playing Luke Cage in the Netflix original series, Luke Cage. Oscar Isaac will be playing the main villain in the X-Men Apocalypse movie, which is scheduled to be released in May 2016. Really excited about that one. Fox has announced it will be producing or start production of its Deadpool movie in March. And thank goodness Ryan Reynolds will be playing the Merc with a Mouth. That one's scheduled to be released in February 2016. Mark Hamill will be playing the Trickster in CW's Flash series sometime in the spring. Strangely enough, Hamill played this exact role in the 90s version of that show. From that. Interesting. In an interview with MTV's Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Al Pacino revealed that he's been talking with Marvel Studios. Still haven't got any announcements out of that by Pacino or Marvel. But I'm guessing they were discussing some sort of role in an upcoming movie. So one could just imagine the roles he could play. Could be very interesting. Sci-Fi Network has announced it's developing a new show called Krypton. The show is going to be produced by David Goyer and will focus on the House of L. Other than that, there's very few details available. Another show that has been rumored for quite a while is a show called Titans, which is based on the Teen Titans. And that's going to be starting production next year as well, being developed for the cable channel TNT. It's going to be focused on Dick Grayson as Nightwing, and he's going to be leading the Titans, which includes the characters Starfire and Raven. I haven't seen any other announcements as to who's going to be in that show. But from what we have heard, looks like we're looking at a live-action version of Teen Titans Go.